Do you have a character or weapon in the game that you really want but you don't have enough stellar jades? Here is a smarter way to recharge your favorite games like Genshin Impact and honkaistarrail. Look no further than Loot Bar. Loot Bar is the most reliable top-up platform, saving 20% for all orders compared with the official channel, and an extra 5% off for your first purchase. It's 100% safe as you will only be using your UID. We will buy a pack for 3000 stellar jades for $42, which otherwise would have cost $50. Totally saving $7.5. We received the crystals we purchased in less than 3 minutes. All recharge will be done through the official channel with Jiaoqiu, which allows you to enjoy all top-up offers. Ready to level up your gaming experience? Check the link in the description to get the amazing discount. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. As we already know, Acheron is one of the best DPS so far. But since her debut a month ago, we might feel there is still no other character that can support her perfectly right now. Yeah, we agree that Pilla is good, but of course we want something better, right? Recent information from various sources such as Dim Breath gave us interesting information about the upcoming character that will be appear in the upcoming version. Of course, one of them is Jiaoqiu. Jiaoqiu is rumored to be the best support for Acheron, since he will do tons of debuff to the enemies. Of course, this will make Acheron be more superior than any meta out there. So, is he really coming in the next version? Without further ado, let's jump into it. Okay, who is Jiaoqiu? Jiaoqiu is a rumored unit who is expected to be released in version 2.4. As far as I know, which I got from various info, Jiaoqiu is a mature male fox who has a pink hair. Jiaoqiu is rumored to be a fire-type character following the path of annihility. We know nothing about his story or even his past, as the Hoyo team hasn't even mentioned him in the story yet. So, is he coming out in version 2.4? I know lots of you still wondering if it's true or not. No worries, many sources posted on their social media a few hours ago that the next version of honkaistarrail, which is 2.4, will take a place on Jianzhou, and of course, it will involving a certain character from Jianzhou, including Jiaoqiu. So, there is a high possibility that Jiaoqiu will be in upcoming banner alongside with another upcoming unit. And let's talk about his kit. First, let's talk about his basic attack. Unlike most of the character in honkaistarrail, his basic attack will not only do a fire damage to a single target, it also has a best chance to apply one stack of flavor debuff to the target. This is unlikely to happen, since most of the characters only do a damage without any effect at all. So, is it good? Absolutely. Okay, next is his skill. For me personally, this skill is quite good, because this skill not only do an AoE damage, but it can inflict a debuff as well. But the probability is different each target. This central target, which the main target, has a higher base chance than on the adjacent target. I forgot to tell you that the good thing about flavor debuff is that it can stack. So it is obviously more powerful from the regular defense down debuff that we can see on any other characters before. Okay, now let's talk about his ult. He will apply a certain buff which called Aura to himself, lasting for 3 turns I guess, and deals a fire damage to all targets, so his ult is an AoE of course. His ult also has a base chance to apply 1 stack of flavor to the targets. After the application, the flavor stack of all enemy target will be set to the maximum number of stacks of flavor held by enemy targets. This effect ignores resistance. This kit is quite interesting for me. If you pay attention at the description, it says, this skill will ignore resistance. It means Jiaoqiu doesn't need to put an evac hit rate at all. So this will make it easier for us to build him. It is good honestly. Now let's talk about his talent. Jiaoqiu has 3 passive abilities. First thing is flavor, which will decreases defense on the enemy. Like I told you before, it can stack, also has upper limit. When stacking more than 1 stack, the increase in defense reduction will be lower than defense reduction of the first stack. So it is pretty clear that this flavor debuff is more superior than ordinary defense reduction because it can stack. The more flavor stacks, the more defense reduction the enemy get. Next is Aura buff. During Aura, at the start of every ally's turn, this ally heals a percentage of their maximum HP plus a fixed amount of HP. After that, all enemies take increased ultimate damage. This buff is insane, guys. Just imagine, with this buff, even characters who follow a Nihility path like Jiaoqiu can be a substitute healer, or we might say a sustain unit. So if you have a Jiaoqiu in your team, then you don't need to put another healer or sustain character, and you can maximize your slot with putting another Harmony in your team composition. It's great, right? Also, the third one, when he's on the field, all enemies will be inflicted with unknown debuff. I assume he can inflict another debuff besides flavor. As per this video uploaded, it's still an unknown. Now we move on into his technique. To be honest, his technique description is not completed yet. But at least we know that he can create a dimension, and if we entering battle with the enemies in the dimension, the enemy will get something, a debuff I assume. So let's just skip it. And lastly, we will talk about his traces. The first traces, during Aura at the start of enemy's turn, Jiaoqiu deals additional fire damage to this target and has a best chance to apply one stack of flavor to this target. Okay, I think this traces is really good for Acheron, because he can even give a debuff during the enemy's turn. This will make Acheron ultimate stacks go even faster, so we can use her ult even on the enemy turn. Pretty crazy, right? Next is his second traces. The second traces is quite simple, but still a nice thing to have. When he casts a skill, he will regenerate some extra energy. And lastly, his third traces, which I think also pretty good. Every single time a new enemy enters the battle, he will inflict a certain number of flavor stacks to all enemies. This traces is as good as his first traces, since he will pump Acheron's slash of dream stacks and make her do ultimate faster. Next, we will talk about his Lightcones. To be honest, we can officially confirm that this one is 100% of his dedicated Lightcones. But since its evac is fit pretty well with his kit, then most likely this Lightcones is his LC. Okay, as you can see, his Lightcones is really something. Every time Jiaoqiu attacks, he can inflict a debuff called Fragile. This debuff can reduce the enemy defense for some turns. I expect 2 turns at the most. And then, if the enemy has Fragile, then there's a chance to upgrade into Fragile 2, or maybe we can assume this stronger debuff than the previous one. Okay, to be honest, I can't say much about this LC, since it's still in a rumored phase, but it definitely can be fit perfectly with Jiaoqiu's kit extremely well. So, will he become the best support for Acheron? Well, after we saw his kits, definitely he is really worth to get, right? I will give you my perspective on why he is so good for your Acheron. First, he can inflict a debuff using almost all of his kits. Yes, if you follow me from the start, his kits is all about inflicting a debuff, which is good because every time he inflicts a debuff, Acheron will get a slash a dream stack. And then his debuff flavor is superior than just average defense decrease. So more stacks is more defense decrease the enemy will get. He also can do a heal too through his talent. This is really interesting and very unusual. A Nihility unit who can do a healing, that's never going to happen in any RPG I have ever played before. Besides, if you put him in your team, then you won't need another healer unit. And of course, you can put a Harmony unit instead. So, even if your Acheron is only at E0, you still have a slot to put another support in your team. I know, effect hit rate is pretty important, especially for a unit who tend to use a debuff like Jiaoqiu for the example. But since his kit already has an ignore resist effect, it seems you won't need effect hit rate stat that much. It is great because a new player can use him immediately without needing a really good gear. Okay guys, that's everything about Jiaoqiu, and what do you think? Do you wanna pull him later? Please leave your comment in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to check out my another guide video. Thank you for watching, stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video.